These two beauties are HypoTrans Witblits, okay? These are not to be mistaken for zeros. So they sold for about $1,200. Right now, I'd say the value on a HypoTrans Witblit Good morning, world. Welcome back to Lizard of Oz LLC. I'm Dave McLean, co-owner and CEO here. And I don't have my lovely assistant with me today. She's still asleep. It's kind of early. She'll be dragging herself out of bed sometime soon, running down here and asking me, "Daddy, why'd you film without me?" But I think it's time for an update. As you can see, I have some dragons here soaking. Okay, and what I have here is actually 3 different clutches. Now I know you're looking at a lot of different bins and you're seeing a lot of differences between all of these dragons and probably wondering how could these be 3 different clutches. Well, when you have a lot of genetics in a clutch, it will give you this kind of variety. Okay, so let me break down for you the 3 different clutches that I have. Okay.
Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds chirping and I hear my name, grasping into life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make.
So this is my first clutch. And when I say first, I'm not going in any kind of chronological order in the sense of like when they hatched or anything like that. I'm just saying the first clutch that I'm referring to in this video. Okay? This is also part of that exact same clutch. Now, you're probably noticing a significant difference in color between these 2 clutches. Why is that? Okay? That will be because of the Hypo gene. What we have here on the left side is a group of hypos. Okay? So I separated the hypos from the non-hypos. Okay? These are all, both clutches, 100% het Witblit and 100% het translucent. Okay? Now this group has basically the keys to the trifecta, which would be the HypoTrans Witblit. Okay, because they are hypo, 100% het translucent, and 100% het Witblit. Meaning they visually display the hypo gene, and I'll explain to you guys, for those of you who don't know, who haven't seen my earlier videos where I explain it, I'll explain to you what the hypo gene is in this video 1 second. But they are het, meaning they carry the genetics to produce Witblits and translucent dragons. Now let me show you what a hypo-translucent Witblit will look like. I just happen to have one here. Well, I actually happen to have 3, but these 2 beauties are HypoTrans Witblits. Okay? These are not to be mistaken for zeros. They're hypos because they have those white nails. Okay, they're translucent. You can see the black eyes. Let me try to focus in for you. Okay, and also at this size they still have the blue bellies. You gonna let me show your belly off? Come on, guy, I only got one hand. There we go. See that black eyes, blue belly, white nails? So these are hypo-translucent Witblits, okay? Now this is about my third or fourth year producing HypoTrans Witblits. The first year that I produced HypoTrans Witblits, they sold for around $2,500, okay? The year after that, the price significantly dropped because a few other breeders followed behind me and produced HypoTrans Witblits. So they sold for about $1,200. Right now, I'd say the value on a HypoTrans Witblit would be somewhere between $600 and $800. Okay, it'll depend on the pairing, of course, the quality of the animal, and then just the designated price set by the breeder. Okay, I'll do another video for you guys at a later date explaining to you a little bit about pricing and how to set prices. Okay, so anyway, going back to this clutch here, we have hypos and we have non-hypos. Both groups are 100% het Witblit and 100% het translucent, meaning both groups can produce those Witblits I just showed you, minus the hypo gene. Only this group is guaranteed to produce you the hypo gene. This group is 66% possible het hypo. Don't focus on that too much. I don't want to confuse you guys, but for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, now what is the difference between the hypo and non-hypos? Well, hypo is a recessive gene. Hypomelanism is what it is called, and hypo for short. And basically what it does is it causes a lack of dark pigmentation, basically creating lighter, more pastelish looking dragons, as you can clearly see that difference here. Okay, so this group right here, like I said, can produce, because they are hypo 100% het translucent, 100% het Witblits, can produce hypo translucent Witblits guaranteed if paired to the right dragon. Okay, now these dragons are 100% het translucent and 100% het Witblit. They're possibly het hypo, so they can definitely produce some translucent Witblits, but only possibly could they produce hypo translucent Witblits if they were to actually prove out for hypo. And like I said, I'll do another video for you guys explaining to you how to prove dragons out, you know, and what to do when trying to prove dragons out. Okay, now let's move on to the next clutch. This clutch right here is a citrus clutch. However, you might notice that I have a lot of red going on in this clutch. Okay, so I'm quite curious myself to see how this clutch will develop. But this was a hypo citrus possible het 0 paired to a HypoTrans genetic stripe citrus dunner, aka King Bowser. Okay, and the result of that were hypos, hypotranses, genetic stripes like this guy here, and that guy's actually a genetic stripe dunner, a HypoTrans genetic stripe dunner. So this was pretty much the you know, the optimal results of the pairing. And this guy's amazing. All of these guys are amazing. Beautiful dragons in this clutch. And you know, we'll be growing them up and making them available on the website probably in about a month or so. Look at this guy right here. A lot of potential for my green project in here. As you know, King Bowser is part of my green project. Okay, now let's move on to the third clutch. This is the third clutch. Now the third clutch I have broken into 3 groups. This first group being the translucents, hypotranslucents, and Witblits, which are also hypotranslucent. Okay, now what is a Witblit? These are Witblits. That guy's a Witblit. That guy's a Witblit. That guy's a Witblit. And a Witblit is another recessive gene. Witblit is another recessive gene, and what it does is it causes the dragons to drop all pattern. However, unlike the 0 bearded dragon, which has no pattern, the Witblit can retain color. And that's why we specialize in Witblits over 0s. I prefer Witblits over 0s because I feel like there's more potential as far as what you can produce with the Witblit. Because you can, like I said, keep and retain color. So you can have bright red Witblits, bright yellow Witblits, orange Witblits, etc. And who knows what other anomalies can be produced with the Witblit gene. Okay? So Witblits are my preference. However, I will say that Witblits are a little harder to work with than 0s. It's a weaker gene. It's also been around a little longer than the 0. Okay. Then over here I have clutch mates and a turd. Now these are hypos, and some of these are non-hypos. Like this guy right here is a non-hypo, genetic stripe. Okay, see he has, if I can get it to focus in for you, black nails. I don't know if you can see them, but they're black. See them? Black nails, okay? But he is a genetic stripe. He's also 100% het hypo, 66% het translucent, and 66% possible het Witblit, okay? So a genetic stripe, het hypo, possible het trans, and Witblit, okay? But like I said, there's hypos in this group. Now I just broke these two groups up by size because I want to go ahead and start growing these guys up a little faster. I want everybody to start growing up a little faster. So I'm actually about to move these guys into a bigger tank instead of a tub. These guys I'm going to be moving into a bigger tank, and then these guys are going to be breaking down into 2 separate tubs so they have more space. So everybody can start to grow up a little bit faster. Everybody's well established. Everybody's been eating great. Haven't had any problems with nips. Knock on wood. Speaking of wood, here we are inside of the enclosure that I just moved that group I was showing you into. I figured there was no better way to end an update video than to show you guys a little live feeding action. Okay? Nothing is a better indicator to your dragon's health than appetite. Alright? Give you a little backstory. I used to attend the Holiday Grace show as a spectator before I was a vendor. And I'd probably been every month for like 6 months straight. And there was this old guy who used to sell like the most bland bearded dragons you've ever seen. I mean straight gray, brown. But let me say, they were the most beautiful bearded dragons I'd ever seen, okay? They didn't have blue bellies. They didn't have black eyes. They didn't have white nails. They didn't have stripes down their back. They weren't bright red. They weren't amazingly yellow. They were just brown and gray, but they were still some of the most beautiful bearded dragons I had ever laid eyes on. They were fat, they were healthy, you could tell they were happy. They seemed to just have smiles on their faces, okay? And this guy, you could just tell that he really was dedicated to what he was doing. And he's been somebody that I've always modeled my business and modeled my practices after. But one time I was talking to him, and for anybody who attends Holiday Grace, you probably know the guy I'm talking about. I can't even remember his name off the top of my head, but he was an older guy, and he used to actually sell the enclosures as well. And he hand built all of his enclosures just like I hand built all my enclosures. Like I said, I definitely looked up to this guy. You know, I figured if I could take what he was doing and take it to another level, then I'd be on to something. But anyway, long story short, I was talking to him one time, and he told me, he said, hold on, let me get my old timer voice together. You know what I've always found to be a great indicator of health? A fat belly and bright eyes. And I tell you, that was something that I really took to heart. And I've lived by that mantra ever since then. With all my dragons, I try to make sure that they're well fed, well taken care of. I look to make sure that they got fat bellies and bright. I even carry that mantra on with my daughter, okay? I want to see her bright-eyed with a big old belly. I make sure she eats good, and I make sure she stays happy. I make sure she's smiling, all right? So like I said, no better way to end this update video than with a little live feeding for you guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Of course, this isn't all the dragons that we've had hatched recently. I will be releasing an update video very soon on the very popular white tigers that you guys have been asking for. Okay, so make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification button so you don't miss that video. And in the meantime and in between time, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Hope it was helpful. Peace Love, Pagonas.